Hello there, we're the honest guides from Prague, and I guess you can spot that the city behind me is not Prague. The city behind me is Paris, that is hosting this year's Summer Olympics. And we were asked by the Czech Olympic team if we could come here before the Olympics and make some videos. And since Honza has been working with them closely on many Olympic Games, we said yes to that. From Prague to Paris, it's around 1,000 kilometers, just shy over 600 miles. And yes, it is doable in a day. But why would you do that? I believe that the journey itself is the destination. So we're gonna do this journey, and along the way, we'll show you different interesting spots that are worth not only stopping, but sometimes taking a detour. So let's go. And the first stop is actually still in the Czech Republic. Our first stop along the way is in Pňovany. Yeah, go try to pronounce that. And I have this spot saved that is a mile away from here in my map, saved for years. And why did I have it saved for years in the map? I'll tell you once we get there. Dobrý den. Dobré. That was Tour de France Czech edition. So we have the right direction towards Paris. So this is the Pňovanský Bridge over the river Mže. And I had it in my map for quite some time, and I guess I saw it somewhere, and I said, well, let's put it on my map, and when I'll drive by, I'll stop by to see it for myself. And the when happened just now. To build this awesome looking bridge, it took some time, literally 2 centuries. They started in 1899 and finished in 1901. As you can see, it went through some serious reconstruction a couple years ago. And not only they reconstructed the railroad bridge, but they added this pedestrian path for pedestrians and also bicyclists. We just watched a woman ride on a bike, and it was quite funny because it goes up and down, up and down. And also, if you love heights like I do, the look down through this metal fence will bring joy to your life and will make you hold on to something strong. Despite the reconstruction only 6 years ago, we already found a spot where the bridge is rusting. And it's right here where somebody hung this stupid, cheap-ass love lock. The bridge won the local award in our country, the Construction of the Year in 2020, and I believe it is absolutely worth your detour if you drive by. To je dobrý, ne? Tyjo, tak to je šleha, takhle jsem si to vůbec nepředstavil. Jakože předčilo to má očekávání by far. Prostě mega sjezdovka. We are just 50 kilometers from the Czech-German border in Germany, and we came across this, a ski slope made out of sand. Because as they were mining nearby for kaolin, they were left with a lot of sand, so they piled it up and they turned it into a ski slope. I thought the only sand dune we have is Dune de Pilat near Bordeaux in France, but no, we have this one very close to our country. You can ride on the ski lift. They will bring you up for €3.50 and then you can ride down. And as any ski lift, yes, there's a snow plow, so I think it's worth a visit and a detour. We're here off season, so it's closed. It's only open on weekends, so make sure you check the schedule and enjoy. And since we're going to the Olympics, you could say that this is the only place that connects the Winter and the Summer Olympics. And I just noticed that you can probably borrow this even off season, huh? Shall I? Well, I guess that wasn't even good to qualify. Yep, a little bit afraid. Whoa, 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 whoa. Ty kráso! Wow, wow, ty kráso! Wow, to je strašně rychlý! Kámo, to bylo dobrý, ne? Not only Monte Kaolino, but also Monte Coaster that we just experienced, one of the fastest coasters in Germany, according to the person who runs it here, and it was great. And for €3.50, it's a bargain. Let's do it again. The coaster on the mountain was fast, but we're going to see something that used to be even faster, 240 kilometers away. So excited. We are just off the highway, no detour for this place, and this is the Sinsheim Technical Museum, full of planes. We are here, believe it or not, after closing hours, and you don't need to buy a ticket to access this area with the planes here on the display. More than 3,000 different pieces are displayed here, not only planes, but cars, trains, a tank, and it's the only place in the world where you can actually see Concorde and the Soviet Tupolev. We were actually surprised that the Tupolev was the first one to be flying, but made way less flights and had more crashes than the Concorde. That was around till 2003 when it was donated by Air France to this museum. There's even a Czech plane, or with a Czech registration, this one, this Ilyushin, with the best registration there is for planes, which is OK, and back in the days, Czechoslovak flag. If you're a plane enthusiast, you probably know about this place, but maybe you don't know that there's also another museum, like a sister museum to this one, that is 50 kilometers away, and they also have the space shuttle, the Soviet version of it, called Buran, and a 747 Lufthansa on the display, so sort of that way. And when you come here with kids and you will not want to buy the full ticket, you can just ride the slide for €1. Or free swing here. Also notice the Checkmate jet Albatros on display here. And if you're wondering how did the planes got here, well, most of them didn't fly here, but for example, the Soviet Tupolev came from Moscow all the way here to Germany on a river. Pretty impressive. That's it from here, but the road trip continues. To je nic. Ach jo, to je skvělý. Wow. Tak to je pecka. My very limited knowledge of the German language suggests to me that we're in a town that may have been founded on a place where 2 bridges were, because this is called Zweibrücke. Now, we didn't come here for that, we came here for different twos, and that is the R2D2 observatory painted that way behind me. Yes, it's quirky, but when I saw it on the map, I really wanted to see it. And it was only a 22-minute detour. Now, you actually don't need to come to Zweibrücke to see the R2D2. You can actually go to Prague and see one there. It was actually made by my friends. And I may be one of the few people in the world that have seen both of them. And I can tell you that the one in Prague is nicer. But what they have nicer here in Zweibrücke is this tree alley right next to the horse racetrack. Not in Paris yet, but we are in France, in Reims, next to the, or in front of, the beautiful famous cathedral that was a place of coronation of the French kings. More than 25 were coronated here, the first one in 1223. More than 800 years old. I always wanted to see it. You can go inside for free. You do not need a ticket. It is quite impressive. But believe it or not, this was not the place I had saved in my map. It's a different place I have saved in my map, only a couple minutes from here, and I'm really looking forward to it because that's gonna be a real pit stop. And I meant a literal pit stop. Welcome to the formal F1 circuit. Pretty cool, huh? This is probably the nicest urbex I've ever been to. We're at a formal racing circuit near the town of Gueux. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. And this is almost 100 years old where we are at. In 1950, even Formula One was raced here on these, probably not this exact road, but you know, you can imagine. It was a triangle shape, it was quite fast, and it was an important circuit. Back in the days, there were only few circuits in the championship, so this one was next to Indianapolis, Monza, Monte Carlo, and so on. So I guess if you're driving by car, this is a pit stop you have to do. Also, kudos to all the people taking care of it. We just met a British gentleman who said that was here 20 years ago and it looked much worse. So thank you for keeping this place in shape so we can see it and take pictures with our cars. So here we are, we've arrived to Paris, and not only we show you tips along the way, but I'm hoping to show you something within the city. And since I haven't been to Paris for 10 years and I know very little in French and about Paris, it may be entertaining to watch. So I guess hello and welcome to You Know the City. Don't you hate it in movies when they show the Eiffel Tower and they show Paris, France? It's obvious. Well, let's look around and give you some tips for the games that will start on the 26th of July and end on the 11th of August. Now, we came to Paris by car, which may seem like a bad idea nowadays when all the European cities are starting the low emission zones. I mean, we drive a hybrid, but you must have a sticker, and to get the sticker with the entire French system, you can only imagine is not the easiest to do. It takes weeks, they have to send it to you, and so on and so on. So we rather just leave the car on the outskirts of Paris in a garage, so that's where we're going to park it right now. Now for short, even sometimes long distances, me and Honza like to walk, but if you're going really far, and Paris is big, you better use the metro, and for that you obviously need tickets. Now I have a bad news. During the Olympics, they're actually gonna boost up the price almost double. So for 7 days, your ticket would cost 70 euros, or a single ride would cost 4 euros. Now in the day packages, you get more zones all the way up to 5, which includes a giant area around Paris. Make sure you get the app where you buy through Apple Pay or Google Pay the tickets, and then you just tap on the turnstile. Despite the size, the amount of people, and also the age of the Paris metro, it is 122 years old, it still remains in a very good shape, and the navigation is quite easy, so we can recommend. But there is a lot of people. We're in La Villette Park that is already pretty cool, and the Olympics didn't start yet. There's a great food court. We saw that tunnel where you can imitate jumping from a plane with a parachute. There's a submarine. There's also a unique theater. But with the Olympics, something else will also show up. It was actually a surprise to me to find out that not all countries build their fan bases, houses within Paris during the Olympics. I mean, many countries do so, the important ones, like the Americans will do it somewhere in Paris, the French will do it here in La Villette Park, and many countries as well. Brazilians, Mexicans, Slovenians, Slovaks, and also us Czechs. This building behind me is the Cabaret Sauvage, and during the Olympics, this will be a Czech land, or more specifically a Czech house, a place where you will be able to meet all the Czech fans. And Honza has been to the Olympics multiple times, and he said the Czech house is the place to be. Not only fans, but also different athletes. Usually if they win, they come here to, you know, celebrate with their nation. And on top of that, you'll be able to taste and sample different Czech microbreweries. So if you're in Paris during the Olympics, this is where to go. And the building behind me, the Grand Hall, will be the house of the French fans and French athletes. And right next to it in the park, you can also see the Paris Philharmonie by Jean Nouvel. And if you happen to be in Prague, there is one realization from this architect, which would be the Golden Angel in Prague. Did you know that you can buy a ticket to go on the top of Arc de Triomphe? I actually didn't know that. You can also buy a ticket only to go halfway on the Eiffel Tower, which is fairly cheap. But I guess you want tickets for the Olympics? Well, I have a good news for you. I do not have tickets, but there are certain sports events that are actually for free to watch, like the marathon, the cyclist, and also surfing on Tahiti. Yes, that's part of the Paris Olympics here. It's 2 10-hour flights away. Now, don't buy tickets off resellers, you will just waste your money. There are still events where you can buy tickets, or simply show up at the sports event, someone may help you and have an extra ticket. From what I heard from the people, it happens. But if there's one sport that I love to watch the most, and it is free right here, it's tourists trying to survive as they cross this roundabout. By the way, there will be an official app, or there is, Paris 2024 tickets, where you can resell tickets between other fans knowing that they are valid and official. There will be a lot of firsts on these Olympic Games in Paris, and the biggest one is that the opening ceremony will not take place at a stadium. By the way, we went to check out the stadium today with Honza on our morning run. The opening ceremony will take place right here. Not on the bridge, but on the river Seine that runs through the entire city. It will go for 6 kilometers and people will be able to watch without buying a ticket for free from the upper side of the street. 10,000 athletes from all around the world and 100 Czech ones will come on boats on the river, and I cannot wait to see it, and you can really be up close to it right here in the city. But we're here now and there's no opening ceremony, so how about we dive into some fun facts about Paris that maybe you did not know. For example, unlike in Prague, something we would need, they have these signs against lovelocks. And also, there aren't too many lovelocks because the city cuts them off, and I love that. Finally, you see the original of the Petřín Tower that we have in Prague. Yes, it was created after they saw the beautiful Eiffel Tower. They were like, well, let's build something like that in Prague, and so they did. Fun fact, if you're standing on top of the Prague Tower, you're actually higher in altitude because it's up on the hill. Just a random fun fact about Paris. You can buy this tiny little Eiffel Tower as a keychain for €1. Actually, for €1 you'll get 4, but that's beside the point. I want to talk about someone trying to sell that Eiffel Tower. And that someone was a con man, a Czech one, named Viktor Lustig. Really, after they built the Eiffel Tower, the city didn't really have money to take care of it, and it was supposed to be dismantled after the World Exhibition. So no wonder people kind of played with the idea, what will happen with the metal? And our con man found a hail, and he pretended to be a minister here in France. He found a company that took care of scrap metal, and he said, look, there's a lot of scrap metal, and if you as your company want to win this deal, you have to bribe me. He invited them to a luxury hotel in Paris, and they actually fell for this scam. He sold the rights to dismantle and destroy the Eiffel Tower for 70,000 francs in 1925. In today's money, it's around 35,000 euros. Now, our Czech con man was smart, and he thought, well, they're not going to report me. They will be ashamed. And he was right. The guy who was conned, who was scammed, was too ashamed to report it to the police. So our Czech guy tried it again. He tried for the second time to sell the Eiffel Tower, but the second time the police was prepared, so he flew to United States. A great check mark on the Eiffel Tower. Scam related. How funny is that? You know, we're kind of transportation nerds when it comes across cities, and I noticed something that I've never seen anywhere else around the world. I've seen people do it, and I'm talking about cyclists running the red light. Well, in Paris, that is legal. That sign behind me, the little triangle, shows that a cyclist can make a right turn on a red light. They still have to yield to other vehicles, cars, pedestrians, and so on, but they can turn on a red light. Super cool. And another sign that I noticed in Paris that I absolutely love is that scooters and motorcycles can actually go in the middle lane if there's traffic jam, but at the speed of maximum 50 kilometers per hour. Pretty cool. Yep, it does surprise me as a person from Prague that there are free toilets all over the city that are relatively clean and you can even wash your hands there. Pretty good. The entire trip, while we drove to Paris, I thought to myself, if I see a hitchhiker, I'm gonna pick him or her up. Because years ago, after I graduated from high school, we actually did a trip with my friend where we hitchhiked from Prague to Paris without money. It was total punk. And I remember sitting here under the Eiffel Tower in the park, eating one of those noodle soups instant. We were cooking it on our little heater. We as Czechs gave the world many different words. For example, robot, pistol, or dollar. But did you know that French people, or more specifically Parisians, gave us the word metro? Well, not the word, but the term that we use for the underground railway system. Because the company that built the system here in Paris had the Metropolitan in its name. It was a long name, but eventually it got shortened to Metropolitan and later to Metro. Oh, obviously, if you go to London, they're going to call it Underground, and if you go to New York, they'll call it Subway, but everywhere else in Europe, we'll call it the Metro. Also, I remember for the first time when I saw these Art Nouveau entrances to the Metro, I was stunned. And just now, when I was taking a closer look at them, I noticed that they're also signed by the architect. 1.5 billion people take the metro in Paris every year, more than 300 stations, still not the largest system in the world, and 16 lines. And by the way, this metro gate became so popular that you can see different replicas around the world in Montreal, in Mexico City, in Chicago, in Lisbon, and there's one original in Washington, D.C. Champs-Élysées may be an expensive street with fancy stores, but water is always drinkable and free. Have you ever heard the term Paris syndrome? It is when you idolize something, what Paris may look like because you've seen it in a movie, you saw it on a poster. It's people sitting in nice places, sipping on red wine, overlooking the Eiffel Tower. But then you come to Paris and you may realize that in real life it looks different. It looks like real life. There are people that work here that go to offices, that drive around. There's a lot of them, they're stuck in traffic, and the view of the Eiffel Tower may not be as ideal as you pictured it on the postcard. Now, it is an actual term, and there are actual Asian tourists who apparently suffer from it. And suffer. I'm from a big city, I don't care, I'm used to that kind of stuff, so I didn't really idolize Paris that much, maybe on my first visit, but hey, it's a big city, it's a mess. How many stop signs are there in your neighborhood where you are?
Too many.
Too many? Guess how many there are in Paris?
None.
0. Isn't that funny? Yeah, I know. Most of Paris is 30-kilometer zone. You cannot go faster, but you're unlikely to stop unless there's traffic. And when I say stop, I mean at a stop sign. Because, and I'm not kidding, from what we found, there is not a single stop sign in Paris. I guess they all moved to United States because they're like on every single corner and nobody stops. Here, no stop signs, people just kind of drive slow. After walking around Paris, we both noted that Paris really wants to show off in front of the world with the Olympics, and we think it's gonna look good. I mean, it's been 100 years since they last hosted the games, so no wonder. It is close for us. If it's close for you, show up in Paris, show up at the Czech house and tell them Janek and Honza sent you, and I hope the best teams will win. This was a special edition travel video where 2 guys from Prague came to Paris to film about the upcoming Olympics that start only in a few days. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next week. And in the end, I'm going to teach you an important Czech word that you need to know during the Olympics, and that is Češi do toho, which means go my favorite team. Češi do toho. Češi do toho. Češi.